So yes, today Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee have come out, and I got Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. You're watching gameplay of it throughout this. I want to, shout out to my friend, you know who you are, who let me borrow a capture card to record this footage and do a live stream earlier today. But he has the card back, so there won't be any streaming of Pokemon this weekend. That being said, I'm actually wanting to talk about something here that I find very interesting, and that has to do with the sales of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, or at least the potential sales, and then obviously reactions to this game now that it's out. Now, first let's get to the juicy stuff, the sales predictions. So this is actually by Matt Piscatella, who works for the MPD group. You know, the MPD is where we get all of our sales data from here in the United States. And he says, according to Eater's research, Pokemon Go has tremendous awareness and trial within the mobile gaming community. Over 70% of mobile gamers are aware of Pokemon Go, while 29% have actively played it. This equates to over 55 million gamers in the U.S. with hands-on experience with Pokemon Go. Most mobile gamers, 60%, still playing Pokemon Go more than 2 years after launch, have been active with the title since its launch. How does this relate to the pending launch of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee? Well, here's where the data gets really interesting. Of currently active Pokemon Go players, 24% are also active Switch players. Further, 65% of the Pokemon Go/Switch owner group intend to purchase and play Pokemon Let's Go. This works out to be roughly 15% of the total current Pokemon Go players that intend to purchase and play the Switch version of Pokemon Let's Go. In addition, more than 13% of Pokemon Go players who do not currently play the games on Switch intend to purchase and play Pokemon Let's Go. This is a large group of individuals that intend to buy Nintendo Switch primarily due to the presence of Pokemon Let's Go. Now, what does this data all actually mean? I'm going to throw some numbers at you. This is crazy. Now, he's talking just about the United States. The last global number I can see for currently active Pokemon Go players sat at around 147 million this past summer. We don't have any current data as of today. But anyways, just looking at the United States, right? This means of people that play Pokemon Go that also own a Switch that intend to buy Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, that makes up about 4,950,000 people. You can round that up to 5 million if you would like. It's really up to you. What it also means is of the Pokemon Go player base in the United States alone that do not own a Switch but are planning to buy a Switch and buy the game, you're looking at 3,250,000 people in the United States alone who currently don't own a Switch that will be buying a Switch to play these games who were Pokemon Go players. So what does this tell you? This tells you that 24% of the total Pokemon Go player base in the United States intends to buy this game. Yeah, that's over 8 million Pokemon Go players, including 3,250,000 who don't own a Switch, just in the United States alone, that are going to buy this. Now, we're going to do something that is not going to be 100% accurate, but let's just assume that this interest is kind of a universal thing among the Pokemon fan base that play Pokemon Go worldwide. It's going to vary country to country and region to region, and we don't have any statistics for any of this stuff to look at. But what we do know is 147 million active players are currently, playing Pokemon Go. So if we take the 10% of people who are apparently buying a Switch in the United States to play Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and we extrapolate just that 10% alone out to the 147 million currently active Pokemon Go players, that is 14,700,000 new sales potentially for Nintendo Switch and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. And that's just new. If we go with the 24% total, which obviously includes the 14% crossover between Switch owners and, well, Pokemon Let's Go, or Pokemon Go, on mobile phones, you're looking at a grand total of 35,280,000 units of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee selling. Wow. So let's take a step back. Obviously, I don't I don't think we're going to be hitting 35 million. Okay, that would be insane. No Pokemon game has ever come close to this outside of the mobile Let's Go, Pokemon Go thing that's blown up. So I don't know that it's going to hit 35 million. Maybe it will. Maybe this is undershooting, because remember, these are just dealing with Pokemon Go players. This isn't even dealing with people who don't play Pokemon Go that are buying the games anyways just because they buy all the Pokemon games. And that could amount to another 5 million in sales, which might push it to 40 million. But let's be more realistic, right? The best-selling generation, or the best-selling mainline core Pokemon game of all time, was Generation 1. It moved around 20 million units total. There have been generations that have come up to it, 16 million, 17 million being the next two highest. Most of them sell, for new gens, sell between, 10 and 14. And then, the remakes sell for around, kind of 6 to 8 to 9 million in that range, less than a new generation. But the difference is a remake has never really had an entire player base of 147 million to potentially draw from. So it's crazy if these stats end up being true. And we're not just talking about even underselling. Let's undersell what the United States would translate to the rest of the world. You're looking at Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee selling between 20 and 30 million units to just people who play Pokemon Go. So what was that again about people saying that people that play a free-to-play mobile game would never be willing to spend $300 on a Switch to play the next step up in Pokemon? Could it be that Pokemon Go actually invigorated them to want a deeper experience, and Pokemon Let's Go represents the best next step for those players? It's entirely possible that hardcore, longtime Pokemon fans that are super pissed off that these games even exist are about to be even more pissed as this becomes the best-selling game in Pokemon history. And that's at $60 a pop. That's putting Mew, inside a $40 accessory. Crazy, isn't it? But that's the reality we might be looking at. Now, obviously, we'll have a better idea where these numbers are trending when we get to the end of January and we get the new fiscal update for quarter 3 and we see the sales. But what we do see is that even if the numbers undershoot, these are some pretty crazy statistics if they're extrapolated to the entire Pokemon Go fan base. But even just in the United States, you're looking at 8+ million Pokemon Go players that are picking it up. Yes, a little over half of them already have a Switch, but 3.25, 3,250,000 units are going to be sold to people who don't. And people were saying there wasn't going to be hardly any crossover. That's insane. That's entirely insane. And this is in the midst of the second thing I wanted to talk about. So on Metacritic, which is, we're just going to talk about Metacritic. It's been happening everywhere, but we'll focus on Metacritic because it's easy to verify. You guys can go look it up, and I'll put links to the Metacritic reviews in the description. It's pretty much held steady at an 81 for Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Even as more reviews come in, it basically isn't budging off of that 81 overall score. But the user reviews are bombing it hard. It was down to 4.3 earlier today. It's come up a little bit, back up to 4.8, as some of the people who are enjoying the game are seeing that it's review bombed, and they're like, oh hey, let's toss in our opinions as well about how much we're liking the game to kind of counteract the review bombing. And yeah, it's only really a couple hundred people who have done it, and even of those couple hundred, it looks like about maybe 50 of those reviews were people that might have actually played the game, who left really in-depth analysis and their opinions and all that stuff. And then the rest are just people trying to just trash on the game and just don't give a crap, right? They can't perceive how anyone could actually enjoy these games, and they view it as a bastardization of the Pokemon franchise, and they're embarrassed, and they're going to be really, really embarrassed when these sales come out. And even if we're not looking at that upper echelon of 30 to 40 million, like the projections based on interest levels from the Pokemon Go base is suggesting, I mean, even 20 million, even topping or even attaining Gen 1, heck, forget Gen 1, attaining Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, attaining Sun and Moon numbers, people are going to be pissed about that. And then hitting 20 million plus, people are trying to review bomb it to get people to not buy the game, which is probably not going to work because guess what? A majority of consumers don't actually read reviews. That's just kind of an internet thing. We care about these reviews and these ratings, and I'm not saying they don't affect sales a little bit. They obviously do in their respective audiences, but overall, most consumers don't really read reviews. They watch, they see a trailer, they see a commercial, and they're like, yeah, that looks kind of cool. I'm going to go pick it up. So where are we left today? We're left today on the launch of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee with Game Freak, and in particular, Masuda looking like a mad genius. We'll see if these numbers play out. We'll see if it comes anywhere close to this. But right now, just the Pokemon Go projections alone are telling you, in the United States alone, on Pokemon Go players alone, it's already going to be selling the same numbers in just the U.S. as other remakes have sold. Just in the U.S. Now throw Japan in the mix, throw Europe in the mix, throw other countries in the mix, Canada. Guys, this game's going to be selling a lot. I don't know if this is shocking anyone. And the one region it might sell the best in is even Japan. You know how crazy they go for Pokemon, and you know how crazy they are for Pokemon Go over there. So I mean the numbers of like 24% of the active player base of Pokemon Go in the U.S. is buying it could be even higher in Japan, right? You could be looking at 30, 40% of the active base over there. So this is. I have no idea what to even think right now. Obviously, the first indication we'll get are next week when we get the first sales numbers in from Japan. I do know locally that my Walmart, my GameStop, Target, and Best Buy were all planning to have massive sales today. I was in there earlier this morning in various stores as I was kind of just looking at what kind of stock they had going, and I mean all of them had basically like 60 copies of the Pokemon games and 60 Switches to match with those copies. Not just normal Switches. They obviously had some bundles as well in case people want to pick up a bundle and then pick up the game. But usually you only see those kind of numbers on like Black Friday at these stores or like that sales week or that sales weekend. But that's now, and that's off the power of Pokemon. I can only speak for what happened at Walmart because I had to go to Walmart again earlier tonight, and they were sold out. All the Switches were gone, and all the Pokemon copies were gone. Now again, that's just my local area. Of course, this has nothing to do with your area, and I'm not saying that if it's not sold out, it's not selling well. Like that's ridiculous, of course. Because there's going to be ample supply of Switches and Pokemon games to the point that I wouldn't be surprised if Walmart like tomorrow puts out more Switches and Let's Go games because they didn't put out their entire stock. I wouldn't even be surprised. So, man, I'm not here to give you like my general opinions on the game yet. I'm about 5-ish hours in. I'm enjoying it so far, but I don't want to go super in depth on what I'm maybe not liking, what I'm loving, what I think is just all right. That's something I'll cover in a future video. Plus, I plan to do a review of Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, in a couple weeks here after I've had a long enough time with it to really wrap my mind around the experience. And obviously time to get a new capture card in here so I can make sure I have that direct feed footage for you to show you the stuff I'm talking about. But, man, can you believe these are the sales figures we might be looking at? So let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. Do these sales figures excite you? Do they make you mad? Are you just in between and don't care? Do you think these sales numbers might actually help push the new generation of Pokemon games next year? Like maybe some sales from this translate to that. I think that might have been Game Freak's plan all along to kind of translate some of the Go player base to this game, translate some of this game to the next one, and maybe that one moves over 20 million as well. You never know. There could be a diabolical plan here. But one thing's for sure, I think Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee is going to outsell even most people's projections in general. I was expecting it to move about 8 to 10 million, and now, I mean, if it doesn't hit 20 million, I would be surprised. Anyways, I'm Nathaniel Rovajans from Nintendo Prime. Be sure to enter our Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch bundle giveaway down in the description, gleam.io link, and yeah, I'll just catch all of you guys in the next one.